And good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
That's great. It's great to have a chance just to talk through some high-level aspects of the study. Certainly there's been questions on a few key things that have been quite common during the year. So when we put the slides together, tried to focus on a couple of key things. One is just this table that you'll see in front of you. I really hope that my explanation can make it clear in terms of the status of the enrolled dogs. So we had some questions around these areas. I do want to talk a bit more about the, the Bayesian design and the sort of 18 of 46 dogs that certainly creates discussion, because I think what you'll learn today might be quite useful in terms of just seeing how the study's progressed, and I guess the interpretation of the data has changed. And depending on time, there's just a couple of slides on the phase 3 and maybe potentially some market and competitive information, but I'll be guided by Sam and Robert for time. So just on the slide you can see in front of you, there's 34 dogs, so there's a couple of key things on this table. One will be the number, so we've enrolled 34 dogs, but the focus of all our evaluations are those dogs which have been assayed, their blood levels being assayed in the level that we deem to be efficacious. And certainly from the earlier work, Richard was around greater than 5 micromolar of monopanel sulfone. We really think that that is the minimum level we need to achieve. So just to explain the table, so 34 dogs have been fully enrolled. We'll start from the bottom. So 4 dogs have been withdrawn, and these were withdrawn from compliance activity and a lack of feeding, timing of feeding, which is really critical to get the plasma levels. Another 5 were withdrawn because, not withdrawn, but they were not included into the Bayesian data, if you like, because their blood levels are below the suboptimum range. So 9 from 34 is 25, and so the 25 dogs, we've got 25 dogs that we believe are the core group of dogs that we are monitoring for outputs from the study. So that 25 is made up of 16 dogs which are fully completed, right? And that's again what we've reported on a lot in the quarterly report. And there's 9 dogs which I sense have created a bit of confusion, which were termed partially completed. Now, the only thing that these dogs need to be moved into the fully completed is the plasma assays completed, and that should not be far away. I know it seems to have taken a bit of time, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One was that the assay site was moved from Tetra in Brisbane when they were bought by Agilex. And this got moved to Adelaide. So there was a transition and some validation that needed to be done. But we have found that the New Zealand study site that we expanded to, unfortunately, taken a bit longer than we would have liked to have got their samples shipped now and on the way to the lab. So we're really hopeful that certainly by before Christmas we'll have the full lining up of the plasma data. Now, the reason that we can't include those as fully completed is that simply if the plasma levels fall outside of that, if they're less than 5 micromolar, then we wouldn't include them within the Bayesian design outcome calculations. So that's really why they're sitting there. They've been sitting there for a while. So Roger, I don't know if you want to make any comments, but I'm hopeful to the audience that the key things there are there's 25 dogs that we want to use in the Bayesian design. We're waiting for 9 for the plasma assay, and then they will be moved into the fully completed study, and then we'll get the updated outcomes of those dogs. Now we've got on the bottom there, we've got 9 of a further 21 dogs. So you'll remember that originally when Richard and Claire put the design together, which I thought was a really well constructed study design, 18 of 46 dogs were needed for a successful by user outcome. So we've got 25 dogs that we are including within that at the moment. So obviously there's another 21 dogs that will be assessed, treated with monipental, and if they're assayed and their blood levels are over 5, then they will be included within that analysis. Sam, did you want to take questions now, or should we leave it to the end? Shall I just keep going?
I think keep going, Kim.
Okay. So next slide then, thanks, Sam. This is again just a real high-level summary where we've talked on the 9 dogs that have been confirmed as SD using VCOG RECIST. So 9 out of 16, and once we get the other ones assayed, that figure will change. 13 dogs also had SD on target notes, and the reason for just highlighting that is that the reason the original 28-day design was set up was the first hypothesis that PharmAust wanted to understand was, did monipental actually have any anti-cancer activity, right? So this was, in lymphomas, a really aggressive tumour. So within 28 days, most dogs had progressed one way or the other. So that was kind of why the 28-day program was initiated, and it's really clear, I think the data is really clear that monipental does have an oncolytic effect against lymphoma. So the 13 dogs with the target nodes, while they may not have got VCOG RECIST, which is a tough criteria, it certainly indicated that there was anti-cancer effect. Next slide, thanks, Sam. So this is one, maybe I'll just spend a couple of minutes on this one to explain why this is important. Remember I mentioned around the bodies and design where we started off with this needing 18 and 46, and what I'd like to try and get across with this slide is that achieving 18 and 46 actually is not the be-all and end-all of a successful outcome of this program. And the key thing that's changed that initial perspective, because I guess a couple of years on with study design now, is that early on we were looking at monipental only for an oncolytic effect. And then Richard did some really good work where he started evaluating what was happening to these dogs after day 28. And a number of dogs would move on to, they might stay on monipental for a varying length of time after day 28, and then they might move on to a combination of monipental and prednisone at whatever dose rate the oncologist confirmed as being required. So with that context, what we've tried to identify here is that, and it turns out there's 6 dogs in each group, so these 12 dogs come from our retrospective analysis of dogs that have been treated with a combination after day 28. And because what I want to try and get across here is that the criteria at day 28, whether they're SD or PD, actually is not making much difference in terms of the overall survival time. And I think this is a really important finding that the company's building more data on, because it's clearly showing that the combination of the 2 actors, monipental and prednisone, is providing some certainly some longevity around this sort of 4 to 6 months time frame. So in the top group, SD, they were SD on day 28 according to VCOG. And there's 2 columns there. There's days monipental monotherapy, and then there's days overall survival time. So the monotherapy days, that's just when the oncologist and the owner agreed that they would move to a combination. So you can see there's varied times there. And while I haven't got a mean, you can eyeball the overall survival time. We've got one of our dogs, that was Riley, that dog there, 191 days in the SD group, day 28. But then if you look at the PD group with the same lens, if you like, you can see that even the dogs that are coming through PD at day 28, and there's another 191 day dog there with 007, 002 was PD, and actually 008, 003 is a Kiwi dog that's still on Monty Pantel only. It'll be over that days now. That was when I put the slides together. So I guess the key take home here that I'd like shareholders to think about is that when companies are going to be evaluating the output of this treatment regime, I think the combination will certainly be the key focus as opposed to Monty Pantel on its own. But it's clearly demonstrating that perhaps we shouldn't get too hung up on these 18 out of 46 as being it either works or it doesn't work. That's kind of what I'm trying to get across. Okay, Sam, keep going. So when we're talking a bit about phase 3, just tell me, Sam, when to stop. So the phase 3, as I said, given where we're at now, we're really keen to finish this phase 2. So we've expanded our sites. We've got one in the US now, one in New Zealand to try and increase the enrolment rate. So we need more dogs to try and get closer to the end of this phase 2. But we're certainly on track for a successful completion. And then we've got a median overall survival time around 150 days with the combination. I guess the questions that myself and the board and oncologists are working through at the moment is what would be a phase 3 study design? Would we just look at a combination, or would we of prednisone, or would we actually look at a doxy combo as well? And that's yet to be confirmed. But I think the other key things that are coming through really strong, and this is particularly from the NPL preg group, that the quality of life comes through all the time, that the owners, through the owner diaries, will keep really close records of their comments and inhabitants and weight loss and weight gain in some cases. And there's really been a strong message that these dogs, and you can see Riley there in the photo, these dogs are maintaining really good quality of life and with minimal side effects, and we're finding with the combination this does actually seem to be working well. Okay, thanks Sam. And shall I keep going, or
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess thinking a bit about the market, there's not a lot of options, and those of you who are familiar will know this, but certainly for lymphoma, you're looking at euthanasia straight up, or you're looking at prednisone only, or you'll go to the gold standard, which is CHOP and the chemotherapy. So, we know that the Monty Pantel and the Monty Pantel prednisone is not a CHOP replacement, just in terms of how they both work. But we thought that if we looked at this combination as being a whole new market segment, this is actually an area that we're finding the oncologists are starting to come on board with, because we're really pitching a combination in the kind of the middle part of this whole duration impact. So I think duration versus quality of life are going to be important criteria for the company. And the reason they asked the question there, will Monty Pantel allow GP vets to grow a new canine segment then? Because we know at the moment that as soon as you get away from prednisone only, you're into oncologists, and this creates a lot more logistics and flexibility issues in terms of owners getting their dogs to these oncologists. So the fact that the Monty Pantel on its own, or even in combination, would be an oral tablet, safe tablet that could be given daily. There's no challenges with not being able to touch the dog or secretions, for a matter of time after these treatments. So, but I think this will take some market research and a bit more development, because I think that the companies that we've spoken to at the moment, they're kind of not seeing this as an opportunity. I think it's a really big opportunity. But I think we just need to keep building more information and more research around this one. I guess, Anne, thanks, one. Yeah, and just this is the last slide, really, I think. But from these Laverdia and Tanavia, they've been the latest two, I guess, shorter term. These are the cytotoxics, these ones, but I thought it might be worth just having a real quick squiz at how these work and their side effects. And Laverdia was the one that we could find the deal price on, but we can't find a price for ribafusitine, which was an Elanco deal from VetDC. I'm not sure what that was worth, but both of these, again, are cytotoxic and monocampylprednisone aren't. Both of them have got significant side effects, and both of them require owners and the children particularly not to have contact with the pet and pet fluids for sort of 3 to 5 days after treatment. And while I don't have current market sales of these, the feedback is that they're probably struggling a bit more than perhaps companies thought. And I'm wondering whether this is some of the resistance to canine oncology that we're seeing from companies. I'm not actually sure now. Some companies spend a big money to get into this area, and I think I might be a little bit gun shy. But there's a distinct difference in the offering, particularly with side effects and safety, I think, with the PharmAust proposition. And we're really competitive in terms of survival metrics, so that may be of interest. Okay, Sam? I think that's pretty much it. I think we've gone through that, so.
Okay, thanks, Kim.
Good.
I'll hand over now to Faye to conduct the interview. Do you want to